course of the entire lifetime go by very fast. Huh? And you see like the sum total of the whole life. So what is a person going to think of at the time of death? Whatever they thought about in their lifetime most often. See, because all these impressions that are stored up in the mind are released at the time of death, when the mind disintegrates. The mind is part of the body, so when the body dies, the mind also dies, and it releases its contents. So, if you have been thinking of Krishna your whole life, then you will think of Krishna at the time of death. If you have been thinking of other things, then that's what you're going to be thinking at the time of death. And Krishna says in Bhagavad-gītā, Yam yang vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever you think at the time of death, tam tang evaiti konteya, sada tad bhava bhavita. That is going to determine your state of being in the next life. So if you're always thinking of Krishna in this whole life, then at the end of life you will automatically think of Krishna. But if you have been thinking of other things during your whole life, then at the time of death you will think of those things. And no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to think of Krishna. Because the mind is becoming, is falling apart, is disintegrating. See? So by the time of old age and death, it's too late. Whatever mental habits that you have already created in your lifetime, those are going to be how you think at the time of death. You cannot change those habits when you're old. It's too late. You have to change those habits ideally from the very beginning of life. Establish the habit of thinking of God, of thinking of Krishna. And the best way to do that is to chant His holy name incessantly. So that's how we also reach this transcendental position, simply by chanting Krishna's holy name. And you can also do that. Anybody can do that. Nothing is stopping you except your own lack of will, your own lack of understanding of how this whole process works and what's going to happen at the time of death. So, let's continue. Friendship. As far as friendship is concerned, those high-grade devotees who are almost like Krishna are considered to be great authorities in the modes of friendly relations with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On that friendly platform, there are different kinds of laughing and joking conversations. An example of such a friendly conversation with Krishna is described in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, when Krishna was once thinking, "Today, while I was engaged in tending the cows in the pasturing ground of Vrindavan, I went to collect some flowers in a beautiful garden. At that time, my friends, the cowherd boys, were unhappy even to tolerate a 2-minute separation from me. And when they found me, there was competition between us to see who could touch the other first with the flowers we had in hand." One friend criticized Krishna thus, "My dear Damodar, although you have been defeated by Sridama and have become sufficiently minimized in strength, by a false expression of strength, you have somehow covered your shameful condition of defeat." These are joking words, in the mood of friendly chivalry. Parenthood or superiority. When Mother Yashoda heard that Krishna's cows were being forcibly moved by the strong servants of Kamsa, and that the tender cowherd boys were trying to protect their cows, she began to think, "How can I protect these poor boys from the invasion of Kamsa's servants?" This is an instance of a superior attitude in a devotee. As soon as Mother Yashoda found her son Krishna returning from the pasturing ground, she immediately began to pet him, touching her fingers to the cheeks of the Lord. In other words, she treated him just like her son, just like her boy. Conjugal love. Above even the humor of love between Krishna and his parents is the relationship of conjugal love. The Lord and the young gopis exhibit this in different ways, glancing, moving the eyebrows, speaking very sweet words, and exchanging smiles. There is a statement in Govinda Vilasa to this effect. Srimati Radharani was looking for Krishna very anxiously and almost disappointedly. When there is such an indirect expression of conjugal love, there is smiling, astonishment, enthusiasm, lamentation, anger, dread, and sometimes ghastliness. These 7 exchanges of conjugal love form another state of conjugal love. In a direct relationship of conjugal love, there is laughter, astonishment, chivalry, lamentation, anger, and dread, but there is no ghastliness. These expressions are considered to be great reservoirs of pleasure. When these 7 kinds of ecstatic loving exchanges are manifested, they attain the status of steadiness by which the taste of conjugal love expands. So in other words, when Krishna and his lovers are separated, then they're going through these different stages of smiling, astonishment, enthusiasm, lamentation, anger, dread, and sometimes ghastliness. Okay? Because they're trying to get back together with Krishna. They experience so much pleasure when they're with Krishna that the separation from Krishna is almost intolerable. So they constantly make efforts to get back together with Krishna. Then when they do get in touch with Krishna, there is laughter, astonishment, chivalry, lamentation, anger, and dread, but no ghastliness. That's because in touch with Krishna, there's no death, there's no lamentation, there's really no inconvenience of any kind. So the devotees, especially the devotees in conjugal love, want to be together with Krishna at all times. And their suffering when they're apart from Krishna is a tremendous impetus to their devotional service. So this separation actually makes their devotional service sweeter and stronger. So, this is a very detailed analysis of the 5 sthāyi bhavas. Any questions?
Babaji, in the first part, there's not a mention of servitorship by itself.
Where?
Is
in the first
what we
part.
just read, beginning of the chapter 32. Is that neutrality is considered servitorship?
No.
Here, or
No.
it's not even mentioned?
Let me look back at that.
It says neutrality, and then pure and mixed flavors, and then subordinate.
Oh, you're looking at the heading, the chapter headings.
Yes.
But just in the 2 sentences above that, neutrality, it says these selfless symptoms can again be divided into 5: neutrality, servitude, fraternity, parenthood, and conjugal love. So it's mentioned there. The point in the first 2 paragraphs is that selfish love is not acceptable as pure devotional service. That's considered a contradictory symptom.
Like that of the hunchback woman.
Yeah, I was just thinking Kubja, yeah. Kubja is a good example. She wanted to benefit from her connection to Krishna. She became a very popular prostitute and was making lots of money because of her connection with Krishna. So This is not accepted as pure devotional service. It's devotional service, but there are contradictory qualities because of the influence of selfishness. See, similarly, we were talking before about the 4 kinds of people who approach Krishna. And the first 3 do for selfish reasons. They want relief from their distress, they want money, or they want to know something, some knowledge. These are all selfish reasons for approaching Krishna, selfish motivations. So these cannot be accepted as pure devotees. Their devotional service is compromised by their selfish desires. These are called contradictory attributes. Pure devotional service can only occur when there are no contradictory attributes, when the devotional service is selfless.